What quietly went away without anyone noticing? Those red coupon dispensers that used to be inside grocery stores. Grocery store clerks got tired of little kids throwing them on the floor. Taco Bell used to have a Chihuahua as their mascot. Little dude just disappeared one day, and anyone born after 2000 probably doesn't even know what I am talking about. I still have a stuffed toy version of that dog. He says the usual, "Yo quiero Taco Bell," but then also quotes a very specific Taco Bell ad that cross-promoted a Godzilla movie. He says, "Here lizard lizard lizard," and, "I think I need a bigger box." You've just solved the mystery of why I always think, "Here lizard lizard," whenever I see a lizard. It's just ingrained into my brain, and I had never thought to look it up. Wow. Stumble upon. I remember all my classmates, and my mom used to use it years ago. Stumble upon is how I found Reddit. Ah yes, back when you would actually get your amusing content directly from individual websites by navigating to them, instead of secondhand from like 4 giant link content aggregators. StumbleButton brought me to some very interesting places, and I don't really know how I would go about finding stuff like that these days. Most websites anymore are for commercial purposes / promotion, i.e. stores, products, restaurants, services, etc. Or they are discussion, using that word loosely, based, so content is mostly reposted snippets / discussion of other conversations. Buying a new game and having a thick chunky manual filled with game lore which you would read before playing and so heighten the anticipation of the game itself. I miss those so much. I remember my grandma buying me Halo 2 as a kid and then going to a furniture store, so I just followed her around, reading the manual, while she looked at furniture. The net neutrality thingy. Most providers decided to adhere to net neutrality, understanding that new administrations can change the makeup of the FCC. Also, a bunch of states implemented their own, which complicates stuff if you want to not be neutral. Easier to just be neutral. There were also lawsuits that dragged out neutrality, ending for year, blunting the speed of any change. Ronald McDonald. Too many people are petrified of clowns. Also, McDonald's was under a lot of heat for how they market to kids. Childhood obesity and all. For sure. It worked on us as kids in the 70s. Some places had the big MCD characters out front. Hamburglar, etc. You could walk up and play under them. Ronnie would come to your school, teach you about crossing the street. You'd get a cup of that orange drink and a hamburger afterwards. LOL. He's such a clown. Ownership. We used to pay money and then the thing actually belonged to us. Now everything is rented or leased. Everything is sold. As a service. Music as a service. Movies as a service. Software as a service. Even printer ink as a service. We spend and in the end we hold nothing in our hands. Edit. You can also subscribe to clothes. Wear new clothes every month but never own them. You can also subscribe to cars. Clothes as a service, cars as a service. Our internet company wants me to subscribe to a Wi-Fi extender for $5 per month. After they turned down the Wi-Fi range available from my router thing. Joke's on them, the electronics store had Wi-Fi range extenders to buy for just $20. I think people have noticed now, but at the time, nobody noticed it was happening. 24-hour stores. I live in a major city, and we don't have a single 24-hour grocery store ever since the pandemic. That was basically the only thing that changed for me during the pandemic. I couldn't get groceries after work at midnight. Picture-in-picture TVs. Man, those were the bomb. 90s reference intended. Back then, my parents just had one TV. As did all the neighbors. That was just it. No one had TVs hanging out in every corner of every room. They didn't fit. They were huge and bulky and expensive. As far as I know, I was like 7. So when Dad wanted to watch TV, that was it, he took control. But man, picture-in-picture saved me. I could get my Sega turned on to the little picture screen and sit right up close to the TV, burning my eyeballs and count the freaking pixels while I was at it, and still play my video games. Acid rain. It was a huge environmental issue in the late 70s through the early 90s. Rain was acidic and damaged fertile areas, among other things. In the US, there was much research done, and eventually industrial regulations were put into place. Companies were allowed to decide what approach they chose to take as long as the results showed the appropriate amount of reduction in sulfur dioxide emissions. Unfortunately, positive news doesn't sell, so news outlets did not do justice to reporting this success. As we went into the 2000s, hardly anyone remembered what was done. Murder hornets. It's one of those rare things that was actually dealt with. The Washington State Department of Agriculture did a great job. None were found in Washington State or BC in 2022. Yeah, they caught some, glued tiny transponders on them to follow them back to their nest. Destroy nest, repeat.